What's up, breathing people? Welcome back. Today, I'm joined by my wife, Brittany, and we have two special guests, our friends, Jess and Matt. So we brought them in because we don't know anything about online dating. We didn't have to do that. I don't think it was even. I know. I don't think it was that big when we dated. I actually think like around
you guys
the time
were like 12 when you got married.
That's true. That's true.
Very close. Yeah.
Were you 21? Or were you 22?
I was 21.
She just turned 21.
Don't flip that number.
I just turned 21 today.
Wow. Okay, we need to end this podcast. The
You
end.
invited us on.
Yeah, the end of my podcast. But we're glad to have you guys because you guys met through online dating. So
Yes.
a lot of people ask about online dating because it's such a difficult medium to navigate, because I think there's so many different apps that you can choose from. There's so many different ways in which you can kind of present yourself to people.
Mhm.
So we want to get your experiences through online dating. Because did you guys use multiple apps?
I did.
Okay.
Yes.
You use multiple apps?
Mhm.
All right. And then is like the experience different on every single app?
Somewhat.
Okay. Is it still just like the initial connections are like messaging people?
Well, some of them have a lot of questions to answer, like eHarmony.
Okay. Before you even
Yeah,
meet
before you
Right,
meet
yeah.
people.
No, what does that do?
So that they would try to make it so that you're the most compatible with
Oh,
the
so
matches that they're
filtering.
bringing
Yeah.
up. Yeah.
Gotcha.
But it was extensive, the questioning.
I
that
didn't even
eHarmony.
finish it.
I did finish it, but I didn't last long on there because
It was like 100 questions.
it was. It was
Oh
pretty
my
many.
Oh
gosh.
my God, no.
So what apps like did you guys try out? And then which ones were you like, I like this aspect of this or I don't like
Yeah.
this? Like what did you
Yeah.
land on? Like which apps did you land on? And then which one did you actually use to find each other?
You want to?
Well, I
Say
was
yours.
kind of newer because I had went through a divorce, so I never did online
Okay.
dating until like 2018.
Okay.
And then I went on Zoosk first, and I felt that was.
I've never even heard
I've
of that.
not
I
heard of
googled.
it.
I like googled best online dating. That's what came up.
And that was it.
They
Okay.
paid the most, so.
All right.
But I guess they use bots for putting views on your profile. So I was seeing these same girls from different areas of the country looking at my profile daily. And I actually messaged one about it. And she's like, I wasn't doing that.
What? No.
But I was like, I was getting a notification saying so-and-so viewed you. I was like, why? They're in like Georgia or something like that.
Yeah.
And constantly I was getting views from this one girl. And she was a real person,
I love
but
that
apparently.
you called her out.
That's so odd that they would
I didn't
do
really
that.
call
on
her
the
out
app.
though.
Okay.
That was a part of the app, you think?
I actually did Google that, and at the time, I think it was they were doing some type of bots that were
That's
using
so
people's
weird.
profiles.
Okay,
That's
where you
not
Yeah.
cool.
that's where you started.
That's where I started.
Okay, and then
Yeah.
what was the next one that you went to?
I don't remember.
You don't remember? What did
Um,
you start with?
I started with Hinge. I think that was my first
I've heard
one.
of that.
Hinge.
I've heard of that.
We were just going over your sister's Hinge the other day. That was fun.
Yeah, we were terrifying. Glad we're not on that anymore. But I did a bunch of apps all at once,
Okay.
which I don't recommend.
Okay.
But I did United Young, which is a Christian app.
Okay.
Don't recommend it.
Okay.
I mean, it's changed.
Can you
Since
share
then.
why
Yeah,
you don't
why?
recommend
What
it?
was like the main thing?
Okay,
that you
I
didn't like?
think the thing with specific Christian apps is that the pool of people is so small.
Oh.
And so it's hard already to make connections with people, but the pool is smaller. The one guy that I connected with was like a pen pal. So like he wasn't even really
Oh.
on it to like meet up with you, which I didn't
Wait, he-
find out with until
So
He was
later.
on there to write letters
Well,
to
no,
you?
it was just like
Just
these
messaging back
long
and forth.
messages back and forth, but like never an intention to meet up. And so when I did
Wow.
like
Okay.
ask, like, are we gonna meet up? He was like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
What are we doing here?
Exactly.
We're on a dating app, man.
Exactly.
That's wild. Okay, so some people are just looking for
I think they're-
connection.
right. I think they're just lonely.
Okay.
And so it's really hard because
That
you
muddies
don't-
the pool a little bit.
you don't know the intentionality of anyone but yourself on these.
Okay.
And I think that's what makes it hard a lot of
Or
times.
just
Right.
breadcrumbing you along until
Yes.
they found out.
Right.
He's
Or be
trying
like,
to find somebody else.
All right.
he's like, I'll keep talking to
I do
you
want to
until
actually
someone
talk
else
about
comes
that
better.
though. Like
Is-
how not now because I want to keep going on the apps, but how you set like intentions
Yeah.
on online apps. Like
Very
that has to be
tricky.
very tricky.
It's very
But
tricky.
all right, I want to talk about that.
I want to
but
hear that then.
what other apps?
Coffee Meets Bagel.
I've never heard of that
one-
one.
I've never heard of this.
So that one is interesting
This is
because
awesome.
you only get, I think at that time it was 10 matches a day. It could be more
Oh,
or
okay.
less. So you're only going on your phone like once a day to look at these. Whereas like Hinge, Bumble, whatever, you're like, you can go on whenever and just constantly be swiping.
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
But again, then you only get 10 matches. So it could just be, I don't know. You could go a week without connecting with anyone just because
Wow.
you don't find a match.
Okay.
Gotcha.
I did Plenty of Fish for like an hour.
I was on that
Terrible.
one for a short
Not
time.
good.
Why is that
Okay.
one
Terrible.
terrible?
It's just the quality. I was on
Yeah.
it too for a little bit.
Look-
And it's just quality of people. And they had bots too, or people from like, I think Taiwan. Remember, I wasn't
my
even done
goodness.
making my profile and I was getting a message from some girl. I think it said from Taiwan.
Oh, wow.
Weird.
Okay. All right.
All right. So that's like
Not a
not
good
that
one.
one.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah,
that one.
Not
yeah.
that one.
I was on Tinder for like an hour, I think. And
Okay.
I didn't like how it was set up. I was coming across people I knew.
That's
And
weird.
I didn't like that.
That is
no,
weird.
no. I imagine that's a thing though, right?
Yeah.
Like every so often you're like, oh, I know this guy.
Right. Or I think like the more apps you're on, the more people you're seeing repeat. Like,
Oh,
You
yeah.
see everybody
True.
that you saw in
Yeah.
other apps.
I did
makes sense.
OkCupid. I liked that one.
I've heard of that
But
one.
there's so many users that I think when I first signed up, what was that my story said? But like I had like 1,000 matches in 3 days. And you're just
Whoa.
like, it's too many. It's
my
too many
What do you do
people.
with that?
I
Like,
deleted it.
Okay.
I was like, this is
that's
overwhelming.
overwhelming.
Yeah. How do you begin to work on this? Delete.
Delete.
All right.
And then Bumble.
And that's where
And
you
that's
guys
the one
where we
where we
met,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
All right. And then what was so did you have any after you said 2 that you tried?
I did Tinder as well. I was on that one for
Okay.
a little bit, but nothing.
All right. And then
came from that.
Bumble was like,
I was on Bumble. I think
was
I
that
was
the
on,
best though? Like for both of you?
I think Bumble was the best,
yeah,
in my
obviously.
opinion.
But even before
Yeah.
you guys met, like that was the one that kind of you were able to
Yeah.
navigate the best.
Because the women start the conversation first.
That's why you like
Oh,
it.
is that really
Yeah.
a thing?
Yes, the guys can't say anything if you both match.
Right.
So she would have to
Seriously?
start
How
the con-
sexist is
I
that?
know, right?
I'm just kidding.
That's, I mean, that's kind of cool in
Yeah.
a way. The
In
way
a
they have that set
way,
up.
because
You can take the initiative.
right, and you're not getting like all these creepy messages.
Yeah.
We get to send
Right.
the creepy messages.
And but I guess that also just heightens the feeling of safety
yeah.
probably for a lot of women because like that's what I've heard from anybody that has dated online is like it's very difficult for the woman to like initiate the conversations because you just don't know what you're getting.
Right.
You
No.
like you see it, you can read all the profile, but like at the end of the day, you don't know what you're getting.
That's why I like Google PA dockets.
Yeah.
Those are like great things to use.
Yeah. Beware, guys. She was a
Facebook.
state worker. Yeah.
Find out your
Yeah, you were
information.
intense. You were intense
Well,
on some
I
of
feel
your
like you
background
have
checks.
to be
and-
because you don't know.
right,
You have no idea.
right.
you
But
find
some
me?
women don't have these some women don't have
those
these, like-
skills.
Yeah, these skills.
Those are skills.
crazy
I
skills.
feel like a lot of
Yeah.
women are also drowning in unwanted photos of certain body parts from men too.
Yeah.
True.
Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, that's such
That's sad.
that's such a sad thing. And like I don't know. I don't even know how to like not I can wrap my head around that. But like I don't know how we've gotten there cuz that's like a normal thing.
Yeah.
It's just it's
I don't know.
the fact that
I don't know how that's a normal thing.
I know.
don't
Where
get
do we
that.
get to like societally that we just got to a place where we're just like, yeah, this is good.
This is a good idea.
Right. This
Just
will
start off with a picture of my
definitely-
penis.
Yeah. Yeah, this will definitely get me a date. Like, okay.
I'm sure it has worked at some point. Otherwise,
I guess.
why?
Who are people going to
I
ask
know.
this advice?
I know.
from?
I mean, I guess
Without-
it is helpful in knowing, like, oh, well, I'm not going to
Right.
pursue that guy.
Right.
So that's a no.
Definite no.
A
Talk
definite
about-
no.
Yeah, talk about being intentional. They were definitely intentional.
They were.
Yeah, that you knew exactly their intentions.
No guessing there.
No guessing. All right. But what was your, now let's get into actually your experiences on some of these better apps, the one where you're actually having more interactions. Did you go on dates?
I did.
Okay.
But,
what was some of those experiences like?
I think my first one was the worst one.
What happened?
What happened? Well, she didn't look like her pictures.
Oh, geez.
I think her pictures were probably 10, 15 years prior. But
Oh, wow.
Oh, so she was older.
yeah. Well, she was a couple years older than me to begin with.
Yeah.
But
she was a couple years
Yeah.
older.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What if you?
That's interesting.
We met up for lunch, and then we went for a walk around the park and where we met up for lunch. And then
Okay.
it went into the woods, the trail, and she freaked out as soon as we went. She's like, I can't go in there.
Oh,
She was terrified of the woods.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
And then we went in. I was like, come on, nothing's going to happen. Because it was like a public park area. It
Yeah.
wasn't that much of woods at all. And there's a bag stuck in the tree, and she freaked out about that then too.
What?
Yeah.
So she has some trauma.
Yeah.
She has something that
She
she's
has some
going
trauma.
through. Yeah.
We had to turn around and get out of there.
Oh my goodness. So that was the first one.
Yeah, but that was
What does that do to your brain when like you have an experience like that? Do you like go into the next date with that, or are you able to kind of like clean slate and just go in fresh to the next one?
That wasn't the worst part because I didn't tell her no that I didn't want to see her anymore right away.
Yeah.
But then we left. She tried to hug me. I didn't give her a hug.
Where you're just like,
But
Yeah.
that's not. I got
Side hug.
home and she called me, and she was crying her eyes out.
Oh,
She
no.
just got into a car accident,
Oh my goodness.
and I told her I couldn't see her anymore.
Oh, man.
I was like, I felt like that was that was the best time to tell her.
Yeah.
I couldn't get that to go any further.
Yeah.
But
No, I don't think that was like
That's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
that
That's
is the
just
right
hard.
thing to do. Because you went on one date.
yeah,
It's like you don't have this. Do you feel pressure to have
second date.
a second date or like, I don't know, too much connection up front?
I feel like that's a good point because, like, with Matt and I, when we started talking, it was like a week
It was
that we
exactly
were
a week.
talking, that we met up.
That was
Okay.
going to be my
Right.
question.
And that was like super helpful because you're meeting them. So other people, it would be like you have 3 weeks of conversations and connection with them. So
Yeah.
you're building this fake relationship bond with
Sure.
them, but you might never meet up with them, or you might meet up with them and then even be more confused about what's happening. So the sooner you can meet up with someone that you're talking to,
Better.
the better.
Okay.
Okay.
For
No,
sure.
that makes a lot of sense because I always tell her, dating has changed so much. Like even
Yeah.
when our parents dated, it was no matter like what kind of situation they were in culturally or anything like that, it was much freer
Mhm.
and it was much more like we'll go out, we'll get a drink, we'll get
Right.
an ice cream, we'll go to a movie, and that could be it
Right.
forever.
And then they go
And there
out with
was
someone else.
no-
Right.
The other.
And it
like the
wasn't
next night.
weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was no pressure.
Right.
But dating has this like relational connotation on it now that it just didn't have before, where we're boyfriend and girlfriend now.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that carries into online dating. Is there more of kind of a freedom to kind of navigate and be like, no, yes?
I think it's a little bit harder because so in our parents' generation, they knew the people that they were asking out.
Mm.
Right.
Yeah.
We don't. When you're online dating, you don't know.
You get a couple old pictures and
Yeah.
Right.
So
fake
you have
description.
to build some type of connection before you even
Oh,
That
I
meet
see.
up.
That's my
because
question.
You don't
Like-
know like if this is even someone that there's anything there with. So you have to build that first before you meet up
I
with them.
gotcha.
How did you, like, what was your strategy for doing that? Like, the amount of time that was optimal to try to get to know that someone would be okay to go meet in person,
Yeah.
but yet not like you're saying dragging it out and
Right.
it being like you wasted these 3 weeks to find out like I'm not even going to meet this guy.
Yeah.
Like what was both of your strategies for doing that? Being like, okay, at this point I think I can go and meet this person, or
Mhm.
no, we're done. Like,
Yeah. I think a lot of it had to do for me with like the back and forth of the conversation that was
The
happening.
intentional responses. It
Yeah,
felt
and like
they cared about.
Like they
that.
felt like
Yeah.
they were authentic
Yes.
too. Okay.
Yes.
and like the quality of the conversation,
Right.
probably.
They could form a correct sentence, proper sentence.
That's a good point.
That's helpful.
Yes.
It's helpful. Yeah. Okay.
But yeah.
So, was there anything that kind of going along with what she said? Was there anything that you like kind of non-negotiable things that you wanted to work out before you met a person? Like, was there things that you had to know about them, or at least the conversation was started on certain things before you would meet with somebody? Or were you a little more lenient in that?
You don't want to know what we talked about.
Okay, that makes it sound terrible.
Yeah.
Now everyone wants to know.
Yeah.
Our first conversations were about eugenics.
Oh my gosh. I mean,
And that's how we do.
yeah. And she was like, quality conversation.
Oh my goodness.
Ugh, that's
It
hilarious.
also had to
though.
do with Winston Churchill, I think.
Oh
and
yeah.
Nazi
Winston
Germ-
Churchill?
Yeah, Nazi Germany and stuff like that.
That's really
Those
funny.
Yeah.
We're history nerds.
Yeah,
How did that come up?
But it's weird. It's weird, but
But it was an interesting
not-
conversation.
it's authentic.
Yes.
yes.
Like,
Didn't
it's
talk to anybody
not-
else about anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're not trying to like be someone, or I've seen this a lot where like people will become something for that other person.
Right.
And as the relationship goes longer, you
Mhm.
start to kind of see holes in that
Yeah.
persona, and it's difficult to maintain
Yeah.
for that long. And some people get married maintaining that
Mm.
kind of fake persona.
Right.
But did you have either of you have things that you would like ask a person or try to find out about a person right away?
Yes, but the apps kind of like help you with that too.
Oh, okay. So the
So
filters
The
help you.
filters help you.
All right.
However, like, so the term Christian can be, it's very, loose.
loosely used.
So me even just filtering Christian profiles doesn't mean that that person is going to
Means they went to Sunday school with their grandma. when they were
exactly
Right,
like
right.
and that's
Yeah.
what like
I had
a
to
couple
put
of
something
people
in
had
there.
said like
Yeah.
yeah, when I was younger I went to church.
Gotcha.
So even though that's their label as Christian.
Right.
So that I think was probably the thing that was the most important to try to define.
Right.
But at the same time, you don't want to go too deep with someone until you've met them
Mm-hmm.
to even know, like, is this a conversation worth?
Right. And the conversation on
having-
eugenics
Yeah.
definitely was the way
to
to
be
know.
fair, his question on his profile led
I don't
us
even remember
into
what it
that.
was.
Because it was like, what time, what era of,
Oh, you could travel back in time or
Yes.
something. What era would
Yeah.
you go to? And I said the 1920s, I
And-
think.
and that led me into like,
Oh,
why the
okay.
1920s? And I was reading a book about eugenics, and so somehow we got
She was
so
reading
it
the book.
was
I
a
wasn't.
genuine
conversation
yeah. Matt's like pulling out of that conversation. Yeah, she was reading the book. I was just engaging in friendly conversation.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, it was like an interesting conversation that I hadn't had with.
And they
anyone
were
else.
really long. We were writing books back and forth
Yeah.
to each other.
Novels.
They were pretty long.
That's
Well,
cool.
that's
Yeah.
really cool.
It was cool.
I feel like that is when you know, is when
Yeah.
someone's taking that much time
Right.
and thinking through what they're gonna say.
Yeah. And
But
just
also
shows the
it's easy
intentionality.
like
yeah.
that.
And
Sorry.
it wasn't hard to like come up with responses or
Mm.
questions.
Yeah,
It was just natural.
it was just
Mhm.
natural. That's cool.
You know
Yeah.
you
That's
ghosted
cool.
me.
And no, he ghosted me. Let's get this straight.
No.
Oh,
Okay, we gotta hear. We gotta hear it. We gotta hear it.
Wait. So there was a ghosting time.
Yes, he ghosted me.
I did not. I did not. She was not
Okay.
there.
She was not
No,
there.
she was
Did you
not.
guys go to different places?
No, I was there
I was there too.
waiting.
I looked everywhere. I was even at the
His
playground.
phone wasn't working. So I'm
I had
like
no service.
texting him.
no.
And I thought she had a silver car, not a blue one.
And I was like, well, I guess I'll just go get ice cream.
That's amazing that this still worked out after that.
Well, I got out of my car and then I was
I was
like,
coming around the corner.
are you
She's
Matt?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, was this
Oh,
the
so
first
this is
time?
Yes.
first.
Oh
Yeah.
my
Oh, wow.
goodness.
I couldn't text her. I couldn't find her. I didn't see a silver car. You didn't see
I had a
car?
blue car, which was on my profile. So.
It was silver.
It was silver.
Then you found out he was
funny.
colorblind, and then
Wait, are you really colorblind?
no,
okay.
no, I'm just kidding.
We have friends that are colorblind.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. That's so funny. Okay, so that's a good tip. Meet in a spot with cell service.
Yes.
So that you could
Yes.
actually meet up.
Mm-hmm.
And then what do you think, before we actually get more into your relationship and how you guys were successful in finding each other, what do you think you did kind of prior to meeting each other and finding each other to like have success eventually
Mm-hmm.
on dating apps?
Yeah.
Eventually.
Eventually.
Yeah, how long did it take you too?
I
long were you on there?
started COVID, probably like right around when COVID
That's a
happened.
weird time to start.
Okay. It
Why?
It is a
What
weird-
made you
'cause you're
start
at
during
home
COVID?
and you're bored.
Okay.
Like just swiping.
That's actually makes total sense.
Yeah.
You're like not getting together with your normal like groups and people and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, that
There's
makes
nothing
sense.
else to do. Swipe.
Swiping. All right. So COVID, you started.
Yes.
So then it was pretty quick.
It felt like 10 years that I was on it.
I know.
But yeah, it was because we met when?
21.
21.
before
Okay.
Memorial
Yeah.
Day.
Yes.
May 21.
Very, very quick. Very
You
quick.
remember,
Yeah.
you remember.
But what were some of the things that you think, looking back, that you did well to eventually meet Matt?
Okay. Well, a couple of things I think. So I went through a period of time where I deleted all of my apps because I was so sick of being ghosted or just the
Yeah.
trash that was coming up. So when I joined back, I kind of made a joke out of my profile. So I kept it
Mm.
very not serious.
Yeah.
And I think that helped me because
That's why I swiped right.
because I wasn't trying. I mean, I was trying to be funny, I guess, but I wasn't like
Right.
really trying to put myself out there. I don't know how to say this in a way that like,
You were trying to get people.
right.
Like you were.
yeah. I was just like, if
yeah.
you like this, fine. If not,
Right.
I don't care.
It was very niche.
Yeah.
And what do people normally do
The shopping list of
on there?
qualities that they want.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
People are-
Filtered pictures. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
That's a picture.
So they're like giving you like
Yeah.
perfection on
Yeah.
there
Yes.
to like really like grab your attention.
Like,
Right.
I want 3 kids in the next 3 years, and
Yeah.
Oof, okay.
Just laying it all out
Yeah.
there.
Oof.
So like
but
because
that's
that
what we're
would
doing
be
anyway.
that's true.
That wasn't on your profile.
Oh, yeah.
Was
If
it
you can't see right now, Jess is pregnant.
Very pregnant.
Very pregnant. Like next week.
like next
Yes.
week? Yeah.
Give birth pregnant.
So yeah, I think I had a group of friends that were also
Mhm.
doing it. So we could always just share and like kind of laugh about the stories that was happening
Yeah.
to us, even though it was annoying. And I think I really learned how to grieve relationships or grieve the potential relationships
Yeah.
before I moved on to
Mm.
swiping.
Okay.
So like if I met up with someone and I thought it was a really great connection and then they unmatched me, like I let myself kind of go through the process of
Not becoming.
recognizing that
Right.
what had happened and kind of letting it go.
Yeah. Because I could see.
That's really wise.
I could see
Yeah.
dating apps making people numb
Yeah, for sure.
to the
Yeah.
actual connections and relationships. Like they might continue to date and they might continue to use the apps, but that they're going to really come in strong, or they're going to really come in
Yeah.
with a mentality of like, I need to find out these things,
Right.
without really giving space for that person to be themselves and for them to actually be themselves
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
find a true connection.
Yeah.
So you're saying like grieving those relationships allowed you to kind of come in with a better stance on the next one. Like you're
Yeah.
able to come in
Right.
without like this baggage from the last one.
Right. And it just, yeah, I think a lot of people didn't do that. And it was very evident in their insecurities and
Yes.
how they
Yeah,
that presented itself through conversations
I could
that
see
we would
that.
have.
That makes sense.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Now, was that more why you think you were successful? Because you were more loose on you're loose in your social media. You just anything I see of you come out on social media, it's always just like this is just silly, which is great.
I don't care because everybody else tries to be so serious on social media.
Exactly. Yeah. Were you like that with your dating profiles?
What was that? I don't remember.
I think what I liked about Matt's profile was that it was very real, and it wasn't photos of like guys always do this where it's group photos, and so you have no idea who that person actually is. But yours had you doing stuff, and like I could see pieces of who you were based on your photos, and so I thought that was intriguing versus a picture of your car. Or
it's such a guy. It's such a guy thing, though, to just be like, I don't even know what I did to be successful. Like, I don't know. Some guys might.
It's the beard.
Beards are good.
It was the pictures, and then you also gave so most of the apps have prompt questions that you get to choose from and answer. And so you gave responses where I could engage with that response.
To start the conversation?
Especially on Bumble when it's on the girl to start the conversation.
You had something.
Don't give us anything. That's just like, hi.
Yeah.
But with your pictures and with the prompts, it gave me material to work with.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that.
So how did you set kind of expectations or now I'm losing the word that I'm looking for. Intentions. How did you set intentions when you were looking for people? Or didn't you worry about that until you met them? Like, because some people might be like, I just want to like hang out or do other things. But you're like, no, I'm looking for somebody to marry.
Yeah.
How did you do that?
I feel like when I started was different with how I ended.
Okay.
So I think I probably started more with intention, which sounds terrible. But then like you just keep getting like hit with people who are just ghosting you or unmatching you, or they say one thing, but really it's another thing.
Else,
And so I think I just kept it really, like, I don't want to say casual, but my expectations were very low. Like when I went to Matt and I had this great connection. I knew we were going to meet up, but even on the way there, I was like, he could ghost me. And so you did. So I didn't even like allow myself to really think like, oh, this could be something. Like I'm really loving this conversation with this guy because I wanted to wait to meet him to see like, what does this work? What is this like? Is he even going to show up? I don't know.
So keeping it casual was a net positive, you think, in your experience? Like I'm hearing too, your ability to talk about it with friends.
Yeah.
So you had kind of like a humor element to it.
Which I think you have to have with these. Because,
I think so. Because the stories that you would tell me, so just backstory, we worked together and we would be on phone calls with one other coworker and you would just, it was story time with Jess. And you would just tell us the craziest dating stories.
True.
And the person that we were on with, we both were in relationships. So we were just like, thank God. Thank God that we don't have to do this and we just have to listen to Jess. Because it was crazy. It's so wild how diverse and interesting of a people exist in this country.
It's true.
That's what I found.
Yeah.
Whereas like, I don't know, the people I know, the people I hang out with are pretty normal. Pretty normal, you know? But now when you put yourself out onto the internet, you're getting into groups and, you know, people that you just never would have run into or started up a conversation with ever in your life other than this app compatted you to.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah, that was interesting.
Were you disappointed when you found out that we started dating? And then
a little bit.
You lost some stories.
I lost some stories. Yeah, she's like, I got this guy. He's really nice. And I'm just like, no. No. No, I was not like that, actually. Me and the other coworker were very happy. We were very happy because Jess is very old.
It's
Yeah.
true. It's true.
I'm kidding.
I'm older than her by 3 weeks.
I know.
Yes, that's good. The guy's supposed to be
No.
older.
No, we were very happy. I'm trying to think what other things that people want to know about when it comes to online dating.
I think they want to know like why Bumble's the best, if that's the one you think. Like a lot of people I've seen asking questions like, which one is the best to use? And I guess it depends what they're looking
Right,
for.
Yeah.
But people are like, should I pay for one? Should I
Yeah.
not? What's the best one to pay for? What's
Did you
the best
pay
one
for
that's
apps?
free?
So I
Okay.
didn't. But if he hadn't,
I
What's
never
the
saw it.
difference?
wouldn't have met.
What's the difference
Oh.
between the two?
You get blurry pictures that say you're matched, but you can't click on them. You don't know who they are unless you paid.
Unless you pay.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, so like if you're swiping
Yeah.
and you both have swiped, then it's a match. But I swiped on his profile and I would have just been
A blurry picture that I
blurry
would have never even
picture.
seen.
Whoa.
I had paid for
yeah.
it.
Until he
Interesting.
came across my profile, which we don't even really know how our profile is connected because
She's all the way down in
our
here.
mile, like I had 50 miles, I think is my max.
And you were
he's
just past that.
62 miles away.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So we had to be at the same, like at the right place at the right time,
Yeah.
swiping. And then because he paid, he could see. So yeah.
That's kind of
So
cool.
It
Yeah.
pays to pay.
Yes.
Yeah, the best $39.95 ever.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
That's really cool.
That's
Okay.
awesome.
But I liked Bumble the most because it gave the most, and this is 2 years ago, so they could have changed
Sure.
the app since then, but it gave the most freedom in how you set up your profile.
Okay.
And so I thought people's personality and humor could come out more
Yeah.
with Bumble.
Yeah. That has
Um,
to be huge.
Yeah.
Because
with, yeah.
these, well, they're not faceless, but these personas that people develop on, we know this from social media, it's just going to carry over into the dating apps
Right.
where you don't know anything about the lives of these
Yes.
people
Yeah.
other than what they tell you, which is fine because like you should have some privacy. But like, I feel like on dating apps, I don't know, they need to develop like some sort of experience this person in 3D for like a day.
Wow.
Like, I don't know. No, like 3D. I don't
I
know.
think that would
like,
go down the wrong.
yeah, that could go down the wrong
road.
road. That could go down the wrong road. A day in the life.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
You
Were you-
stalk them for a day.
Yes. Yes. They have to carry around a GoPro with them for the day. Like, oh, they shop at Giant. Oh, you know. Oh, they work there. Ooh, you know. Something more than just a profile. Because that is like, I can't even imagine.
That's
having to
why
just
you
base it
have
off of
to
that.
do your own investigations.
Yeah.
How did you do that?
Google,
PAE docket.
Yeah.
PA dockets,
Yeah.
Facebook, Instagram,
Yes.
YouTube. Basically, just
The
seeing if
whole
there's
thing.
anything
Did
out
you
there.
find me on Facebook though?
I don't
don't
think
think
so.
you could.
I actually don't think I looked you up.
Whoa. Whoa.
I don't think I looked you up either.
Your conversation was so good. You didn't have time for that.
Yeah,
It
I like,
was.
Yeah.
No, but I think that's actually really interesting because that kind of means you knew that this was
Yeah.
different.
Right. And it definitely felt different. Like
Yeah.
the intentionality, I think,
Yeah.
of the conversation and the responses.
But that's good for people to know.
yeah.
That's good for people to know that like when it's real, when it's authentic, when there is intention behind it, you'll know.
Right.
Like you'll feel, because a lot of people I'm sure are just,
I feel like some people have been on so long they don't want to put the effort into the intention anymore
yeah, can you, well,
because there's so
you
many
did that,
people.
right? You deleted it for a
Yeah,
while.
I would definitely recommend anyone who's on dating apps for a long time to take like 3 months off.
Yeah.
And just delete the apps.
That's a
because
Yeah.
great idea.
it definitely is a draining process, especially when it's one bad match after the
Yeah.
other,
Yeah.
after the other.
Yeah.
The stories, yes, are great eventually to tell
for
people.
other people. For other people.
for other people's amusement.
yeah.
I feel like that was okay. Like it could be funny for you because you were surrounded with friends
Yeah.
and family and coworkers that
Right.
care about you and support you. But it'd probably be different if you were like kind of alone.
Yeah.
Looking for some.
Right.
And these stories that we heard were after you took that break. Right?
Yes. Because, I took the break and then I made my
funny
profile that I didn't care about.
Yeah.
And that's when I think most of the stories came out from that.
So that's good. And I do feel bad looking back because I'm just like, we definitely, I know me and the other coworker talked a lot about like how difficult it has to be ghosted because like we've never experienced that. Like we've texted people, but it's not the same.
Right.
It's not the same when like you're on an app to date someone and you've matched and you're starting conversation. Maybe the conversation's going good at first. Maybe you even had one date.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they just
disappear.
Drop. Yeah. Or unmatch or whatever they do. That has to be.
That'd be hard.
Yeah. Devastating.
Yeah. And it is hard to then like want to do it again.
Right.
So definitely breaks are a good thing.
What would you say? So one of your pieces of advice would be take a break if you've been on it for a while.
Yeah.
But what would your advice be for somebody who is looking to get married through an online app? What would be your best tips? If you have any.
Do you have any?
Or things to watch out for. Like,
maybe don't look for marriage. Like, just look to find somebody that would lead to
Okay.
marriage.
Okay.
Because that could. Why?
I don't know.
No, I think like when you are so focused on, I'm going to
The
find
goal.
someone to marry.
Okay.
You'll miss other things along the way.
Right.
You'll miss just the relationship.
Okay.
Or even red flags. Like you'll be like,
Mhm.
well, we can deal with that later. We can talk about that later.
Yeah.
Because you're just so focused on the goal.
Oh, I see.
So I would just say lower your expectations.
Wow. No.
Like
I actually don't
go
think that's
into it and be like,
terrible.
let's see what happens. But it's
Right.
not like this is the person I'm going to marry.
So take it lighter.
yeah, for sure.
And then if it goes well, then you can get
Maybe
a little more serious.
maybe get your hopes up a little bit
Yeah.
more.
Okay, I would never expect that. But from what you guys are saying, that makes sense. That does make sense.
You got all the-
That's kind of how you have
Did
to
you guys ever feel
approach it.
desperate during the process? Like, did you ever feel like I have to find someone by this time, or I have to find someone soon, or
I don't know that I felt that. I just felt exhausted by the process.
Yeah.
yeah,
Because it's just, I think the thing with in-person dating
Mhm.
is that you're not normally dropping one relationship to start another one.
yeah,
But with online dating, okay, you unmatched me, I'm going to go swipe.
yeah.
And so you're just constantly making connections.
I never
with
did
people.
that. I was talking to somebody out. That was the only person I was talking to.
You were just a one
Yes.
solo guy.
Yeah.
Jess was not.
I
That.
know.
Jess was not.
You
that.
couldn't be. No one else was except for Matt.
Except for Matt. Yeah. Yeah. I got exhausted just listening to the amount of conversation. I wouldn't be able to keep track of who I was talking to.
Yeah, I don't
like,
think I would have either.
And
I'd
what did we
probably have
talk
to do it
about
that
last
way.
time?
That's why
And-
she has her
My
notes.
notes.
Yes. Yes.
Well, I wrote down tips for dating app profiles.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
I
wow.
said,
Yeah.
don't take it too seriously.
Yeah.
So
That helped you.
Have realistic and up-to-date pictures. No 10-year photos. No filters. Try not to do group pictures because we don't know who you are.
There's
no
a lot
blurry
of profiles
pictures.
where it's multiple.
Yeah.
That's
Pictures are
tricky. I
different.
feel like that's
Picture.
deceptive.
It is.
Yeah.
You don't know who's who.
Right. Is it the skinny guy on the
No.
end, or is it the
Yeah.
yeah?
Yeah.
I said, be interesting in your responses to prompts and photos. Give people something to work with.
Right.
And
Right.
that only you know your intention. So I think a lot of times, just because someone's on a dating app, we might think we know why they're on a dating app, but we have no idea.
Like the person
Even
that
if they
just wanted
tell us,
connection.
we
yeah.
don't.
You don't
we don't
actually
know.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's hard.
Yeah.
That's hard because when you're dating someone in person,
Right.
you get to know them usually before you even go on a date with them, right? Like
Right.
you saw them in youth. Why am I using youth group? You saw them in college.
Is that how you two met?
We did not. So
Oh, that's right.
I don't know what you're thinking back to, but
But yeah, then you kind of get an idea of who they are before you go out with
Right,
them. But with
yeah.
this, you don't have that. So
Yeah.
what would be? Is there any like major things to look out for since it is different than in-person dating? Is there anything that you would say, like, really look out for this? Don't fall into this trap.
Right. What are the most common red flags on dating apps?
And how do you tell
Do you
that?
want to do the red flags for girls?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
I don't
good.
know.
Yes, red flag for
Like when you were on, what was the red flag with the girl profile?
The age.
If they're
The
afraid of
age
the
is
woods.
one.
Yeah. If what?
There's
If
a
they're afraid of the
bag in
woods.
the tree.
Don't go in
Terrifying.
the woods.
It wasn't even really woods. It was like a park. So there's
Yeah.
a heavy cluster of trees.
Maybe that was woods for her. Some of us grew up in the city.
Yeah.
There's a paved trail through the woods.
You shouldn't be laughing. She probably did have something really bad
Yeah.
happen in the woods.
Any other, like, what else was a red flag when you look
I'm
at a
trying to hold my
profile?
hand right away.
Yeah, but like with a profile.
with a
was there any-
profile?
yeah.
They're provocative photos. They had a lot of those.
Okay. Because they're just like,
Yeah.
it's not worth it.
Yep.
Probably
It's not
very
worth it.
needy and
Right.
clingy, desperate.
Or they're not even looking for.
So trying to be
Yeah.
too enticing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And that's good for girls to hear because some girls think that's the only way to get swiped on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I used that terminology right. I just made
I
it
feel
up.
like you did.
Is swiped on? It just
Swiped
feels
on.
like weird, like, you know, I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about. That's why we have you guys here.
You're lucky you don't have to.
Yes,
Never had to.
exactly. Exactly. Red flags for guys.
For their, I think the biggest, all right, well, anytime there's like shirtless photos, I feel like that's a little bit of a red
Right,
flag
trying too
because,
hard
again,
again.
trying too hard. But I think more in the conversation where if it is just an unintentional conversation where like there is no real intent to meet up, or even if it's like we should meet up, but they never set anything, I think then you fall into the pen pal or the breadcrumbing. And that's just not a cycle that you want to be in.
Right.
Right. It's just-
Did
So
you
I
ever
think-
have some guys just try to just lead you on just for fun? Like
I
they're just
think-
on there to
I never
just
had
kinda-
guys leading me on.
Well, not you.
I'm glad to hear
Actually,
that.
there is some of that.
There is some of
yes.
that. Okay.
Oh.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, I think like with breadcrumbing, they just keep coming back to you to keep you engaged, but they're not really serious about it
Why do you think they do that?
because you're giving them attention.
Oh.
And I think girls
oh,
do
wow.
the
Girls
same
do that
thing.
too. I had
Yeah.
that happen. Like,
Oh, so
we were
they're just
talking.
looking for connection, tension.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
wow.
there's never like, oh, I'm going to meet up with this person.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize that happened. On
Oh,
there.
yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's this one girl I was talking to. Like we'd be talking, and then she just disappeared. Like 2 weeks later, she'd continue the conversation. Like
So she probably went out with someone
Yeah.
else.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it didn't work with them. So she's like, well, now I'll go back
keep
to
him
this
on the back
person.
burner.
You're
Yeah.
like seconds.
Yes.
Wow.
Oh.
And you don't always know that. But when that starts happening, like I think, like I said, maybe people would think a week is too soon to meet up. But with everything that I had been through with dating app stories, like that showed intention. And it also then didn't allow for breadcrumbing or
Okay.
pen paling to happen
Okay.
because
You're actually wasting less time that way.
exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. What are the red flags?
Um,
Don't lead people on. Don't try too hard.
yeah.
Just be yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's just, do you find a lack of that on the dating apps?
Yeah,
Like,
people trying to
majority-
be someone
Mm.
Yeah, and I think dating apps are really hard because there's so many options.
Right.
And so even when you're swiping on someone and you match, you're like, but there could be someone better.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
And so
Oof.
I think
That sounds
that
so stressful.
it is.
That is stressful. I know.
I'm getting
like,
stressed out just listening to
I
this.
know.
I'm like, oh my God.
Oh. Oh.
So I think dating apps are hard in that there's always that hanging over
Right.
both people. Like, I just think it leads to like a lot of swiping, a lot of conversations with people, and a lot of not actually pursuing anybody.
Mm.
Even though you're on there, hopefully
For
to
that
pursue
intention.
someone and
Yeah.
for that intention, I think a lot of times it just becomes endless swiping and matching.
Yeah. That's so interesting.
Yeah.
What was your guys' experience after your first date? So, like, it sounds like the messaging? Was it text messaging or was it on the app?
It was on the app.
So
yeah.
Yeah, it was on the app. I got your number on the first date.
After the date, he had to make sure I was worthy of.
Yeah.
is that a good choice for the first date?
It was.
For you guys?
Yes.
But did you do that with other girls or no?
I don't think so, no.
Okay.
Stay on the app.
Yeah.
And like for me, I think it was very common for guys to be like, hey, just text me without meeting up. And so we would be then, now I have his phone number.
And now he has
we're
your phone number.
And so again, it feels way more personal because of that. Whereas,
do you still have those from that guy with the Taco Tuesday?
oh my word, I think I do.
Okay, you can't do that.
You gotta tell us this.
I matched with this guy and he was very intense. And it was like a Tuesday. I had all my friends coming over and I was like, hey, I'll message you in a couple of hours. I have friends coming over. I didn't have to tell him that.
Yeah.
And so it was like midnight by the time everyone had left. And so I just sent him a text and he was like flipping out because it was so late. And I was obviously talking to someone else. And he was like calling me all this stuff.
Red flag.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, well,
seriously.
you've clearly been hurt before. So I unmatched with him.
Oh no.
But he had gotten my number to text me. So he called me.
Oh.
And then we had a little conversation.
Did you?
Yeah.
What did he say?
And he was like, why do you think I've been hurt? And I was like, because of the way that you're responding to this. So yeah, it's just, I appreciated that we did not exchange phone numbers until after we had met. And you were clearly like wanting to meet up again.
Yeah.
And so I appreciated that.
Yeah.
So it is a gamble giving out your number before you meet or are sure that this is somebody you want to give your number to.
If you have set up like we're meeting at this time in this place,
Yeah.
and then you trade numbers, that's one thing because maybe text messages would have worked.
Oh, that's
at where we met.
Yeah.
That's a
versus
point.
the app.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I see. Because you were still on the app at that time.
Right, yeah.
Gotcha. You couldn't even call each other.
Nope.
Right.
Oh no. Oh no.
But I think when you trade numbers and there hasn't been an intention of meeting up, then it just makes things seem more personal
Right.
than they are.
Without it needing to be.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So so now my next question is how did you guys get to know each other then after that first date? Was it kind of just through text then, like kind of more normal?
I think
or
I called her the next night and we talked for like 4 hours on the phone.
Yeah.
that's so sweet. I love that.
That's great.
And
Was that established through the messaging though? Like you were just having really good conversation,
I think
shared
so.
numbers, and then just kind of continued?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then it was off the app.
Right. Yeah. And then the second time that we met up, he was even more intentional with wanting us to delete the apps.
I said I was deleting mine.
And I was like,
smart.
what?
No,
He's
I
like,
love
no
this.
other girls.
So that was, I think, a little scarier for me because I was still unsure of, and setting up profiles is such a hassle.
Yeah.
I had everything saved.
So, because I think I remember being like, are you sure?
Yeah, I think that's what you said.
Yeah.
So then we deleted the apps and then.
That's a good move though.
That is
I love that move.
That's a good move.
And again, it showed
That's
intentionality.
Yeah. That's such a mic drop move. Let's delete our apps and run away together. And like,
Yeah.
Maybe you shouldn't say that on the second,
No, but don't do that.
second date. Let's run away together.
Yeah, there would just be too much of a trend. Woods, running away together. Yeah.
That was different.
But I think there's something to like the way that you went about it though, one at a time. Now, that's actually really hard to do, I feel like, for a lot of guys because of the pool. I feel like there's a lot of girls that have just, tell me if I'm wrong, just have a ton of guys DMing them and messaging them and all of this type of stuff.
It's probably easier for guys to do what I did versus if she's just talking to one
You think
person.
so? Why?
Yeah. Because of that. I feel like there's a lot of guys just throwing themselves out towards all these different women.
But isn't it harder then to find a girl if you're just kind of like one at a time?
Well, if they're responding, and then so it's not like I've sent out 10 messages and waited.
Right.
So
Okay.
I saw somebody I liked and they responded back, then just see where that went.
That kind of has
Yeah.
that like light sort of, I don't know.
Was it Bumble that had that you could send an audio file?
I don't know.
'Cause I-
Hinge has that now on the profile, but it might be
What would,
that
what
you
would be
could
that
have.
for? Like
So you
send like
can
a little.
hear their voice.
Oh, okay.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah. But Bumble might have had it like through the messages
Yeah.
that you could do that. They might have.
Because there was somebody at one point in time that sent me a message way too, like they sent me an audio clip. I felt it was, it wasn't inappropriate, but
too
it was
early.
just too early for this. I was like, no, thank you, goodbye.
Too soon to hear your voice.
His criteria is hilarious, though. Bye.
Yeah. That would feel
Dare you
awkward.
send me an
Yeah.
audio?
Yeah. I'm not ready to hear your voice.
We've only been talking for 2 weeks.
No, it wasn't even that. It was like maybe an hour.
Oh,
Yeah.
she's going audio in
Yeah.
an hour.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
I get that.
Oh, that is a
Too
little
much.
too
that's,
soon.
that's a red flag, you would
Yes.
say.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. A little desperate.
Hold yourself together, man. Golly, throwing herself at you with
Oh
the
my
voice. Yikes.
Did you
All
listen to the message?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just like, done.
Did I not ask
Oh
that?
my gosh.
I don't remember what
She
it was
wanted to go to
about,
the
but-
woods.
No, she did it.
Take me to the woods.
We'll delete our apps together. It worked though. It worked.
It did.
So it's
Oh
all
my
good.
goodness.
It's all good. Did you guys ever try other platforms like social media to date anybody?
Like Facebook dating.
Like
was.
Facebook or Instagram? That seems to be,
Is that a
especially
thing?
for a
I
younger.
didn't know that.
There was
Yeah.
Facebook dating. I don't know if it still exists. But
Is there really Facebook dating?
There
was.
was.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But I, for some reason,
I just mean like
couldn't get-
DMing somebody.
It wasn't
just
working then.
randomly.
Yeah.
I
Do
just-
you
That's
want-
the thing. I think it's
Do
a
you
young.
want to date me?
You just go
Hello?
through. You scroll
I
through
think
people
it-
you may know and like send them.
I'll send you a voice memo right now.
I think it's something that maybe our age and younger. I know a ton of people that's how they date people is through Instagram.
Oh my goodness.
Like they just DM people that they see, random people. Like maybe they have kind of group connections to a person, but don't know
I feel
them
like
specifically.
That's less creepy than
It's
just.
just a random person that you have no
Yeah.
connections to.
No
mutual
connections.
friends, no nothing like
No
that.
connections.
That would be creepy.
Yeah.
I
You
wouldn't-
never did that then. None
No.
of, okay. All right. I just wanted to know.
I wouldn't
Interesting.
respond to
Because
that,
if
don't
I was
think.
going to be
No.
doing like the
I would just-
online
yeah.
dating apps, like I wouldn't rule out anything.
Yeah.
And I see
Good
so many
point.
people trying that nowadays. Like especially the younger kind of Gen Z will do Snapchat,
Yeah.
and that's how they'll kind of try and connect with people.
I think that's a bad platform for that.
Yeah, it's not great. I didn't say it was successful.
I think with the apps versus DMing someone on Instagram or Facebook is that there is some filtering and questions. So you know a little bit about that person, even if they're completely lying. But
Right.
it's not just like a random, like now you really have no idea
Yeah.
about this
Yeah.
person.
That is nice. Did you ever feel like unsafe using the app or even meeting up with someone?
I think looking back, I should have felt more unsafe in some of the situations I put myself into. But I always like shared my location with several people before I went
That's nice.
somewhere. Like
We'd be able to
people
find the body.
knew the
That you
app
were going at
Yes.
like at that time.
going at this time. I'm sharing my location, my face, like my phone location.
What was our third or fourth date?
What?
What was our third or fourth date? That would have not worked.
Bedbug cave?
Yeah.
Bedbug cave. We got to hear this one.
What is that?
It's an old mine in my town that I'm from that you
Okay.
can go in. You're not supposed to
Oh,
go
I
in.
do remember.
Yeah.
You sent me
Oh,
pictures
and
of
I
that.
think I
go
had
in it.
some friends who were like, "You're gonna get murdered."
Yeah.
Because I think I told them what we were doing.
You must have really
They were
trusted
like, so
each
you're
other
gonna
then.
die.
Yeah, by that point, you were all in.
Yeah, it's
You were
true.
all in.
I'll go in the cave with you.
Not the woods, but the cave.
There's no lights or anything.
Yeah.
Blackout.
You enter at your own risk.
He just got progressively darker in his location
We're
choices.
deleting more than apps today.
Remember eugenics?
Wow.
Oh my word.
That's dark. That's dark.
So yeah, definitely meet somewhere public. Don't meet in
Yeah.
someone's house. Even though we met at my house the second time. But like your initial meeting, make it very public. Share your location. Share like
Make
the
sure you
picture.
have cell service.
Make sure you have cell service.
Yes.
And do some research. Because there'd be a couple of people where like if you look them up on Facebook, you're like, oh, we actually have a friend in common.
Interesting.
Right.
And then you can talk to that person about them.
Oh, that's a good idea.
yeah. So that just gives a little bit more of like,
A groundwork to start the
or
relationship.
for them to be
on.
like, do not go out with this person.
Yeah,
or
yeah.
they're nice or whatever.
Oh, that's
So,
really smart. And how long did you guys how many hours did you guys talk on the phone before your second date you invited him over to your house?
We probably had a lot of 4-hour conversations.
Yeah.
It was
It was
Pretty
probably
long.
like every
Okay.
night we were talking.
Okay, so that's not as weird then.
Yeah.
You had a lot of stuff
had a lot
established
of-
beforehand.
Right. And I felt like we were like all over in our conversations, but we also were vulnerable and like pretty deep to an extent, I think.
eugenics.
Yeah.
And then we started doing that book. My friend had gotten
Oh yeah.
as a joke, like 1,000 questions you should ask before you get married.
Yeah, I've heard
Oh,
of that
that's
book.
fun.
Yeah. And we just would randomly, I would ask.
Be driving somewhere.
Yeah. And ask questions from that book. So
Which is probably really helpful.
That is
Yeah,
probably
it was.
I know people that
because-
have used that book to get
Yeah.
married. Like they would make the person take a test
oh my goodness.
to answer these questions.
I actually love that. I love that.
So that they would just know, like, one, if the person was like, yeah, I'm not taking that test,
I probably would have said that.
you know, then we would have just had the mat like, bye. You
Too
know?
soon.
Yeah.
Audio.
Yeah, audio, bye. No, but like if you had a person that was like willing to do that, if
Yeah.
that
If
mattered
you
to
cared
you.
that much,
Right.
then
If you cared to
Mhm.
know this information and you really wanted to see if you were
Yeah.
compatible because of it, yeah, certain people will not. And the ones that would
are more compatible with
are
you.
more compatible with
Yeah.
you who were crazy enough to do 1,000 questions beforehand.
Yeah.
Now, if you would have handed me that book and said, write out all your answers to this, I would have been like, nope.
Well, and I liked the way that we did it because sometimes the answer or the conversation would lead to additional questions
Yeah.
or stories or
You get
more
maybe one or
insight.
two questions in, and then that'd be it.
yeah,
talk
because
about
we've been
whatever.
talking. Yeah.
That's cool.
All right. I want to know some of the funniest stories now. Because I think like we've given like enough information to like just help
You
people
already know them,
navigate.
though. You already know.
I
them,
don't
Bert.
know.
I want-
JC can tell my
I want
stories.
the world to know some of these stories. No,
Oh, which ones do you want?
I want to
JC?
know the hand holding one.
With
Yes.
his first.
I want to know your hand holding one. So this is first
This was
date with the person?
This was the second meeting.
Second meeting. Okay.
We went for a walk. We met up at the same place. Went for another walk, and she like as soon as we got to the trail, she's like,
Did you really just jerk her hand away?
yes. She was like, grabbed my hand. She reached over, and I was like, no.
Yeah, that's got to be so awkward.
But we kept talking.
But that's boundaries though.
Yeah, it was
like he
too-
was
too
confident
soon.
enough in himself to be like, no.
Yeah, not yet.
But I think there's a lot of people that would be really, they would struggle
Right.
to know like, well, I want the possibility
Yeah.
to work out. Even if
Yeah,
they
I kept
don't know
talking
if
to
it
her.
would.
It's not like I made it. Like,
Yeah.
nope, I'm not. I just no. Too soon.
Yeah. Bye.
you have to be. You kind of have to be confident within yourself and who you are.
Right.
It
Mhm.
sounds like to find another solid person
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
there.
That's why I think the break is so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you really have to come into it with the right intention and not be in this numb state
Right.
where you're just going through the motions in
Yeah.
this stuff. But you
Yeah.
can bring intention to the conversations. You can bring intention to even just how you present yourself. You know, I think joking, like kind of presenting yourself in a humorous way
Mhm.
is intentional. Like it totally is a way to get somebody to lower their kind of defenses
Yeah.
and lower their,
Mhm.
you know, I don't know, goal-oriented nature.
Mhm.
Because I think if I had to do that nowadays, be on a dating app,
I would not do.
I'd be so goal-oriented
Mhm.
because that's just my personality that I want to find somebody and I would want to make sure they answered questions and I would want to make sure that
Yeah.
they were like fitting the things that I desired for my life. But I don't think that's the way to actually start connections with people on a dating app when you're just coming
Right.
in cold to that
Yeah.
relationship.
And I would say that I think most people approach it in the beginning like that.
Yeah.
And then I think you get,
But then you got experience.
Yeah.
And then you learn like, hey, I need to not take myself so seriously.
just lower expectations.
Lower expectations.
But not your standards.
Not your
standards.
No, that's good.
Lower
I like
expectations,
that.
Yeah.
but not standards. I like that.
That's good. That's good. Okay, so it wasn't too crazy. She just tried to hold your hand and you were just like, no.
No, but then we kept talking. You know, we saw
It
each
wasn't
other
like
a couple.
awkward after that.
No, it wasn't.
Oh, that's good.
That is good.
It got
I
awkward.
kind of
then.
feel awkward just like hearing it.
I know.
Yeah.
How did you just tell people when you were like kind of done? Like, how do you do that? That's got to be so weird because you got to do it all the time.
I think that's why people ghost, because then you
It's
It's
so
easier.
hard.
it's easier.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Oh,
What's the weirdest story or the funniest story?
she has a lot.
Well, I think my favorite one of my favorite ones is when I got ghosted for a ghost.
How does that
Wait,
happen?
Yeah, how does that happen? So I was talking to this guy. We had made arrangements to meet up, but we didn't have the time that we were
Okay.
meeting up on that day. So on that day, we're texting. We decide on a time to meet up. And then like 15 minutes later, he says, oh, my dad's coming over. We can't meet up. So I had Googled him before we had even said that we were going to meet up. And his dad's obituary is the first thing
Oh
that comes
my
up.
gosh, I remember this. Oh.
So I was like, what? Your dad's coming over?
He's coming up.
So he literally was ghosting you for a ghost.
For a ghost, yes.
Whoa.
And it was
Whoa.
hurtful, but also hilarious. And if I hadn't Googled him, I would have been like, oh, yeah. Like,
Did you call him out or no? You're
no,
just done.
I think I was just
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
But I was just like,
But if you didn't Google him and you just kept talking, you would
Right.
have found out eventually.
I would have eventually, but I wouldn't have had any idea at that
Right.
moment.
Well, and that's such a
Wow.
lesson for people too. Be honest, because imagine if you did continue in that relationship and now, like
Right.
3 months later, you see the obituary and then you think back to that conversation. You were like, hey, did you? Oh, yeah. Sorry. I just,
That's ridiculous.
I feel like
looking-
Oh my
some of the
God.
earlier conversations and getting to know somebody is talking about their family. So
right.
that would
Yeah.
come up at some
That-
point
yeah.
in time.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. I thought you said your
Hilarious.
dad picked you up the other day.
Maybe it was somebody who he calls his dad that's not really his
Maybe.
dad. I don't know.
I don't know. But I was just like,
That's so
okay.
nice.
Okay.
That's so nice.
I would have been done with him too.
Yeah, I had another guy who we tried to go to 2 different places to have dinner,
Okay.
and we couldn't get into either of those. So we ended up at Sheet's parking lot.
I don't think I heard this one.
And we got food.
Like you couldn't get in reservation
Yeah,
wise?
reservation
Okay,
wise.
all
Like
right.
it just
So you
yeah.
were together and you couldn't get in.
Well, we drove to these places separately and we couldn't get in. So then we drove to Sheets and then we got food. And then I sat in his car, which don't ever do that.
Yeah.
But like the first
What are you gonna do though?
I feel like you gotta like
I
keep
don't
the
know.
door open
Yes.
or something. Like
It might have been cold. I don't know.
It was cold, which was
Yeah.
why we were sitting in his car.
You're also in the Sheets parking lot.
In the but
But
it's Sheetz,
still.
like
You go inside and wait for your food.
yeah. And then we got our food and went back to the car. And the first thing he wanted to do was kiss, and I was like,
You
I
didn't
don't
even eat
know
yet.
you.
Oh man.
Maybe they did eat. And
oh
the breath was
man.
terrible.
That's so awkward.
That's when you get
Did
the
you just,
extra
you just
onions.
say
and-
it? Like
I was just like, I'm not that kind of person. I was
Yeah.
like, that's not my thing. I was like, I need to get to know you. And then he unmatched me the next day.
so we know what his intentions were.
Yeah. That's a lot of work for just that though.
I
Goodness.
know.
Wow.
Oh man.
Yeah, it does kind of make me sweat a little bit.
Yeah, I am
thinking about
sweating.
both of those.
It's so stressful.
Yeah, but
Stressful.
I think, like you said, I actually really do like that. I think that would be really helpful. Lower your expectations, but not your standards. And just kind of, you can't go into these dating apps with your heart.
Yeah.
Like you
absolutely
have
not.
to be,
You have to be a little bit
gentle.
removed from
Yeah.
what's happening.
It's too bad you can't do like double dates.
Yeah.
That I'd like with on there. I know that would be really weird, but
that'd be tough.
You get 4 people to match.
Yeah. It's already hard enough. They
no,
were
but I mean,
trying
like,
to match
but then
2
it wouldn't
more.
be so like weird.
Yeah.
With like just like 2 people that I've never met before. I mean, I guess that would make it more difficult
Yeah.
with 4 people, but still, it's just, yeah.
I feel like in my experience, the amount of people that I matched with versus the amount of people I met up with is like there's a huge percentage difference.
Okay.
So yeah, I definitely matched with way more and communicated with way more than I actually
Ever
met
met.
up with.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense.
Makes it more
Yeah.
manageable.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that comes back to intention too.
Yeah.
Of,
Setting that before you actually get on these things.
right.
That
Yeah.
has to be done.
So this place where required reservations, how dressed up were you for sheets?
That's a
well,
good question.
I didn't know where we were going, and he didn't have. I forget where it was, but
Obviously,
we
you didn't have
couldn't-
plans.
we couldn't get in, so
Yeah.
we went to Sheets.
At least you guys met up and
True, it's
You
true.
weren't ghosted.
And I found out what I needed to know.
Yeah.
So
Interesting. Interesting.
yeah.
Any other questions that you had?
I can't think of it.
Is there anything that you like thought about coming into this that would be helpful for people?
Yeah, what
Let
would
me
be
look at
helpful
my
for people who
notes.
like don't know? They don't know anything.
Right. They have to
Um,
do this.
Yeah.
And there are a
yeah.
lot of people now that it's a struggle to find people in your town. Like there's not a
Yeah.
lot of these sort of more communal
Mhm.
venues other than like a church or
Right.
like a community center or something like that. Like a bar is fine, but the quality
Yeah.
Yeah.
that you're looking for may not be found there.
Yeah.
So a lot of people have to turn to these
Yeah.
dating apps. But
Yeah. Because I would say like I was involved in a lot of things, but there wasn't anyone that I was coming across. And
Right.
so that's what led me into dating apps.
okay.
So yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think we talked about a lot of the things I would tell people is just don't take it seriously, like
Okay.
too seriously, and have as much fun with it as you can and have a support system.
Yeah.
Cool.
Also, make sure you're ready for it and make sure you're, because I came out of a divorce and I was hurt when I first got in. Probably shouldn't have got on early enough, but
How long do you think it was before you felt ready?
it was when I learned to forgive and when I, analyzed the situation better.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That got you past that
Yeah, once I was,
that relationship.
because I was
That's
with
good. Because a lot of people do hop on dating
Yeah,
apps,
right
I'm
away.
sure, after
people
failed
that-
relationships.
You said somebody was
right?
still married that you were talking to at one point.
Yeah.
What?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Definitely. Or you find out they have kids later, which isn't like, it's not a bad thing, but
No.
it's something that should be upfront. But yeah, the one guy he and his wife were separated, but
But not divorced.
not divorced,
Ah.
still married.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that definitely
Yep.
is a thing, and people should be aware of that.
Yeah.
I feel like you both had a good understanding of like grieving and forgiveness. I feel like those 2 things are really essential
Mhm.
to doing it well, as
Yeah.
well as the support system. And yeah,
Yeah.
keeping
There's
it.
deeper elements involved to actually be successful on these platforms.
Right. Like, I think if you're going on it just to have a fun time,
Mhm.
and that kind of contradicts what I said, but like I went on it to look for someone, but I tried to do it in a way that wasn't like so goal oriented.
Yeah.
But I think if you're on it just to have fun, then you don't have to worry about any of those things because it doesn't matter. But if you
Yeah.
are on it to find someone, I think you do need to have some things set up so that you're not getting burnt out
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
everything.
I think that's good.
Yeah. That's a lot of good advice.
Yeah.
I don't have any other questions.
No other questions? Any other things
Any other
to
things
say?
you wanted to share?
I don't think so. Do you have anything you want to share?
What about that guy that did this to you? Said.
Oh, that was a blind date. That was
Okay.
He just wants to get stories
Yeah,
out
I
now.
want some stories.
Yeah.
They sound like they're gonna be. A good,
They were
like,
pretty-
That's gonna be a good story.
There was more stories. There was more stories. Yeah. Well, I'm just happy though, because we're talking about all the difficulties. We're talking about all of the ways that it's hard to navigate
Mhm.
dating online, but it's not impossible.
Right.
Like it totally is a real thing that real people do
Mhm.
and are successful at. And you guys have been married for how long?
Almost 2 years.
2 years.
February 22nd. will
And
be
you
2
have
years.
second kid coming
Yeah.
already.
That's
Boom.
great.
We're old, JC.
I know.
That's great.
I'm not saying anything about that. Get those kids out. But I think that's
Don't
like
say that today.
no,
Yeah,
no,
stay
not
there.
now. Not right now, but later. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks everybody for watching. If you are dating online, there's hope.
There is hope.
There's hope. You can be
Even when it
successful too.
feels like
Like,
there's not.
Yeah. And it will feel like that, obviously. But if you just have good intentions and you are lighthearted in your way that you approach these things, you can be successful too. So we will see you on the next episode. Love you all. Goodbye.
What is the next episode?
I don't know.